What's up, Hillbillies? Today we have something special. We got our man Jake behind the screen. Yay! If you want to see an awesome video about waste in the office, go check this video out here. Today, I actually don't know what we're talking about. Jake has taken the reins. He's going to ask me questions. I'm going to answer them. I don't know what we're talking about, so take it away.
It's not every day you get to talk to the Hillbilly Millionaire, about money. So,
woo. All right.
First question of the day. Why should someone not purchase a real estate property with cash out?
So I think the scenario you're saying is, I have $100,000 and I have the opportunity to buy it outright. Buy a house outright? Is that kind of what your question? Why?
Yeah, if you can buy it outright with $100,000, it costs $100,000. Why should someone do it or not do it? Buy it outright with cash instead of leverage other money.
That's like poking a bear right here. So people get very sensitive about this topic. Most younger people and informed people, usually, not saying you're uninformed, but they're, for the most part, you want to make use of what's called leverage. Leverage is a fancy pants term, which means borrow money from a bank to buy it. So why you would want to buy it is, let's say you're 50, 60, 70 years old and you just want that house, you don't want the debt. Then yes, absolutely, you're going to cash flow better from that single property if you just buy it outright and then rent it out. Now this is assuming that the point of this is for an investment purpose. However, a larger train of thought, mainly around the BRRRR strategy and long-term buy and hold, or house hacking, they're probably going to suggest, and I fall into this camp, no worries if you don't, which is, I'm going to take $100,000 and I'm going to split it up into 5 $20,000 down payments. And I'm going to go buy 5 houses for the same cost. Now, each house is going to cash flow me less money, but I'm going to have 5 properties. Now, let's flash forward 2 years. I'm going to go buy 5 $100,000 houses for $20,000 down, while borrowing $80,000 from the bank for each one. So now you flash forward for 2 years. Let's say the market is increased. Let's say the $100,000 house is now worth $120,000. Well, fantastic. Now your house A, in the first scenario, your house is worth $120,000. You're good to go, but you're only $100,000 into it, so you got $20,000. Now let's take situation B, where you leverage the houses. Now you have 5 houses that are all worth $120,000 in the theory, and then all 5 houses are worth an extra $20,000. Well, now you have $100,000 back. You're only $100,000 in, but you're now worth way more. Now imagine if your strategy is like mine, which is long-term buy and hold. I'm going to hang on to those things forever, and I'm going to get all of the appreciation forever. And this actually speaks near and dear to my heart, because I actually had that situation happen in 2019. I bought my first set of crack houses. Most of them were like 30 and 40 grand. $30,000 and $40,000 houses in bad shape. Now I put some money into it, maybe 20 grand, but those houses are now worth like $90,000 to $150,000. And I'm only into them for 60 grand, 70 grand. So 60 grand to 150,000 in 2 years is huge. I can go to the bank and say, Mr. Bank, I'd like a loan. They're going to give me all my money back, tax-free events. I'm happy hunky-dory.
Well, Hugh, but what about the economy? And I'm scared. Isn't that super risky to not pay for cash? Because we saw what happened in 2008, 2009, and everybody lost their crap. What do I do?
That's absolutely a talking point. And again, the strategy needs to be what helps you sleep at night. Statistically, what has happened in the housing market since the 2008 crash and because of the 2008 crash is unlikely to happen again. Based on someone who knows the research around it, probably not going to happen again. Before, that was mainly driven by subprime mortgages, where people that weren't even qualified to pay for one loan could do that. Now, one thing you should absolutely do is you should have market fundamentals. You should know the basics. If you don't know, you can go look at some of my videos before, or go check out Bigger Pockets podcast, start at episode 1 and start there. It'll teach you all the fundamentals, but effectively, in long-term buy and hold situations, it doesn't matter what the market does short-term. If you never plan to sell the place, it's gonna be worth more down the road. The question is, did you make an informed enough purchase? Are you in the right part of town? Can you guarantee rents? The people who lost their houses were what's known as over-leveraged. Over-leveraged is when the properties either barely can pay for themselves in the good times or can't pay for themselves. If you're in Chicago or in LA or New York, you might not be able to do it. But if you are in the Midwest following good fundamentals, or you're in like a Denver or Chicago and you're house hacking, and you're not over leveraged and you're still cash flowing, then you should still be able to hang on to the property no matter what happens in the short term. And one massive thing, you should scale appropriately and have reserves that even if you don't have renters, you can still bear maybe 6 months to a year per property of paying the loan against the property. And so I did not start that way. I took a very big risk. Things went well-ish, but they very could have went poorly and I could have lost everything. So you got to do what your comfort level is.
Okay, Hugh, I think you've sold me on going ahead and doing this whole leverage thing. I have no money though. How should I get started?
How should you get started with money? That's a great question. All right, so there's many, many ways to do this. My assumption is you are in the United States and are gainfully employed of some kind. So if you are employed, then there's a very high likelihood that you can go and buy a house. If you don't have any money, one of the best things you can do is what's known as house hacking, or maybe you already are in your own house and that could be your first rental and you didn't even know it. And so there's multiple ways. So I'm gonna go for the easiest. The first one is work hard and save money, and then have enough money for a down payment and approach your bank. The second thing that you can do is you can borrow money from friends and family if you have that, you're comfortable with that kind of relationship, and you can maybe share with them some of the fundamentals. And I did a combination of the first two to buy my first portfolio, and you can check that video out right there. But another one is you can make use of what's called hard money loans. If you really want to start, you really want to flip, or something like that, you basically get what's a short-term loan, or it's called a bridge loan, where you borrow the money outright from somebody, then you use it to buy the property. Once you have bought that property, you can then refinance it into long-term debt. The interest is higher, but normally it's a no money down situation. Hard money lenders are probably going to want either a heck of a deal and or you to have some kind of experience in the past so they feel comfortable. You can sell stuff from your stock market. If you have a 401k or something, you can take out a loan against your 401k. But one of the best things you can do is you can house hack. Most people don't know about this. You can make use of a FHA loan, which is 3.5% down. You can make use of a VA loan if you're a veteran. It is one of the best loans out there. So if you are a veteran and you're not using a VA loan, you probably should be. And I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life, but that's definitely something I would look into, and I wish I had access to it. So that's no money down, you can buy a house. And then the next one is a USDA loan, is also no money down. Now those are situations where you need to move into the property. Well, let's just take the first one, the highest value one, the most expensive ones to move into, 3.5% down, is if you want to move into an FHA loan, let's just say you find a duplex for $300,000. Hugh, where am I going to find $300,000? Well, you don't have to find $300,000 because it's only $10,500 and you can move into it. So if you find it, you only have to save up 10 grand. Now, 10 grand is a lot of money. It's not that it's not a lot of money, but it's very reasonable within most Americans to either borrow that much, to sell the crap that they don't have, to work, pick up extra shifts, to pull some money from their stock market, whatever it is, you can come up with 10 grand. And if you had to come up with 10 grand right now, or your life depended on it, you would probably come up with 10 grand. I'm kind of saying your life does depend on it. Do you want to work forever for that guy you hate or girl you hate? Or do you want financial independence? If you want financial independence, you don't want to work harder, then you just really, you don't want it bad enough.
Well, Hugh, it seems like you know, because you're wealthy, you already have access to all this money and people that you know with money. How am I ever going to be able to get to where I'm buying properties because I don't have access to money? How do you find a hard money lender?
Two questions. So the first question was, how do you get access to money, or you're already wealthy, screw you? Well, I don't know if you noticed, my whole channel is the Hillbilly Millionaire, and I started life as a normal W-2 job, and now I do crazy stuff. And I decided to build my life. I decided what my life wanted to be like, and then I figured out how to make money around that. So I started working a W-2 job. I was already in my W-2 job, and I just saved up and did exactly that. I saved up enough, and then I started buying properties by getting down payments and then slow rolling it. It takes a long time to get started. The other thing is I got educated. Once you are educated, you know what you're talking about, and even if you don't have the actual experience, there's tons of free resources and super cheap resources. In fact, in every description of my YouTube channel is all the books that I read that got me to the knowledge from there. So they're going to be way better research than me. But just normal lending stuff. I mean, if you make 36 grand a year in our neck of the woods, the bank should not pre-qualify you up to like $194,000 a year at the time of the shooting of this video. I know that because that's what I pay my guys on my team, and my team ends up, being able to qualify for loans. Another thing, so then the second part of the question is going to be, how do you find a hard money lender? Well, you can just Google hard money lender, or you can go and you can find a local real estate meetup in your area, and probably everybody there might be a hard money lender, even if they aren't actually a hard money lender. I lent some guy money because he had to finish a project and the bank wasn't giving him anymore. And so I lent him money. He was able to finish the project. He burred it back out. It means he borrowed the money at the end of his thing, and he paid me back with interest. And so I didn't even mean to be a hard money lender, and I ended up being a hard money lender. So money, guys, people always stress out about this. Oh, where am I going to find the money to do this? Well, I don't have the money, so I'm just going to quit. No, get the education first. The money will come. It sounds like BS. I'm at the point now where people are approaching me out of the woodwork to be like, Hugh, look at your track record. This is great. Here's no BS. Here's $1 million. Go find us something because we need to buy something that's $1 million or larger. Go find it now. And I'm like, whoa. No, I don't have the time and I don't have the resources because money's coming to me easier now than the contractors and the core four and the systems and processes to manage that money. It will absolutely happen. Go get the education first. After you have the education, go to real estate meetups and they're all going to tell you where to find all those loans.
Hugh, if I've already been kind of getting going, I'm listening to Bigger Pockets, other podcasts, reading books, and going to real estate meetups, but I still haven't bought my first property yet. What would you recommend?
Man, I'm definitely way more Brandon Turner in this one and way less David Green. So I'm all about taking action is more important than what action you take. If you aren't buying yet, that's fine. The right deal will come along, but if you haven't already started analyzing deals, what I did was I said, I'm serious about it. I want it bad enough. I went and bought a Bigger Pockets membership so I could have access to their premium calculator. Again, no affiliation. They're just awesome. That's the way I got there. So I'm going to recommend other people to do that if they want to follow in my footsteps. I then just pulled up Zillow, found houses around me, found houses in the neighborhood, and I started analyzing the deals. There's a great video on how to analyze deals. You take the property's worth, what you think it can rent for, you plug in some other calculations, and you just practice. Eventually, as you practice, you're going to identify trends. You're going to say, okay, this one's way underpriced, or this one's way overpriced. And then you'll be like, well, that's weird. Why? And then you can dig deeper into it and figure stuff out. I guarantee you, Mr. or Mrs. Watcher, if you find something that's grossly underpriced and you know it, you're going to figure out how you're going to go buy it, even if you don't have any money right now. And the reason why is because you studied your market enough to know what you know. And something about this is off. Now, you might go and visit and be like, oh, it's because of the foundation crack, and that's $50,000. And that is your answer. But once you identify something is weird, that is when my salivation glands start going, and I'm like, what is going on with this property? I got to go see it. Is it a death? Is it a divorce? Is it they don't have any idea what they're doing? You wouldn't believe how many things that I have gotten where it was just a mom and pop that didn't want to use their agent, and so they listed it on the market themselves, and they had no idea what they're doing. Well, because it was on the market themselves, they undersold themselves. They didn't pay the 6% to the realtors, but at the same time, they got like $80,000 less for their property. So absolutely, go out, know your market, study your market. If you really want to do it, go walk properties after you found them. Just practicing walking, you get more and more comfortable with it.
Hugh, this is my last question, and this is probably the toughest fire question I'm sending your way.
All right.
What should people know or learn about money, and what are some principles that they should be doing to be able to build wealth with money?
Man, okay. I would go read a few books. The first book I would read is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's not a book about real estate. It's a book that teaches normal working folk how money works, and it's written from the perspective of a 9-year-old. And so that was perfect for me, being a dumb hillbilly from Missouri, because I need someone to break it down for me, because I don't know anything about money. No one ever taught me how money works. I had to find that all on my own. So I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. After that, I read Richest Man in Babylon. Then I went to the Bigger Pockets of Money podcast. I started from episode 1, and I started learning. If there's a bunch of books in my description that are exactly what I share with people that are trying to learn about money, but you're going to want to learn about compound interest, You're going to want to learn about the S&P 500 index fund. When you get into money, there are so many ways to cut and splice it. I mean, that's too broad of a question to ask, but the fact that I'm able to even identify these things puts me at the very beginning of my journey about understanding money. And none of this was taught. I learned it all on my own. So I would go to all of these forums. I go to the Mr. Money Mustache and learn about the basic things. Coupons are a big one. There's just tons of stories out there of how people make it, how normal people make it. And I bet you on the Bigger Pockets Money podcast, where they take normal people and ask them their normal money journeys. And actually, I was on the Bigger Pockets Money podcast where I made every mistake there possibly can be that a standard military guy, I wasn't in the military, but a standard military guy usually makes. I made every one of those mistakes. Now I'm sitting here, the Hillbilly Millionaire, in front of you. And I did that all in about 3 years, from normal guy who knows nothing to knows a bunch. So go learn about money and go check out the resources that I mentioned, and those are going to be where you go and check things out.
Awesome, Hugh. Thanks for answering these fire questions.
Hey, this is exciting. We'll have to do this on, for you some point.